welcome to the first episode of Discapades with Beefcake and Butterball, exclusively on Disability Channel, Minnesota. I'm going to give it over to our partner, Mark Beefcake Knutson.
Hi, welcome. Welcome to the podcast, Discapades. Basically, what we're doing is we're going to be talking to Rob Wills here. And on our podcast, Rob, as we've talked a little bit about, but we want to just talk about, the different escapades people run into because of their disabilities. No matter no matter what you're doing. I mean, throughout life and disabilities, we run into. I should say, we all three of us being disabled. We've all run into some some interesting situations, or I would like to call them escapades. So let me introduce Rob Wills. I've known Rob from weightlifting. He's as a Paralympic weightlifter, so he's traveled nationally and internationally. And welcome to the podcast, Rob.
Thanks, Coach. It's great to be here with you again, as usual. It's beautiful to see you guys. So thank you for inviting me.
So
I have a few stories. That's for sure.
We're here to swap stories and have some laughs and kind of maybe inform people, what it's like in our wheels lately. So
I love it.
So Mark, take it away.
Yeah, well, for me and Charlie, with our disabilities, we were our disability is congenital, so we were born this way. So we have a lot of childhood things, but with Rob now, you were just out of high school accident, is that correct? Or
yeah, I was 19 when I inherited my injury.
Yep. What were you, about 19?
19, yeah, almost 20, but just 19 years old. It was a drinking and driving accident. I was in the back of my buddy's pickup truck. And we went out one night and tore it up. And I climbed in the back of my friend's pickup truck and fell asleep. And my friend who was driving the truck fell asleep on the way home as well. And we ended up hitting a bridge, which stopped us dead in our tracks and back that way. And I was introduced to the family then. So
yeah,
and what a great family it's been. So
yeah,
and I was, when I first met you, because before your injury, you were into weightlifting. Was that correct? You were into working out and all that?
Yep. I was like a regional bench press champion at Northwest. It was Northwest at the time. Bench press. So when I was walking, I could bench 340 was my max walking.
Okay.
And then after, breaking my back and going through all that rehab and, going through, I had a doctor come in and say that I couldn't lift more than 30 pounds. That's the most I should lift. He goes, you'll end up screwing up your shoulders, screwing up your back. He said, well, lo and behold, that we wasn't really happy with what he said and moved on and got into did my first competition 8 months post-injury. I benched 335 regular touch and go off the
because I was surprised how quickly you got into it, because when we first met, it was at Courage Center. I was working out. Yep. And I heard that there's this young kid that wants to get into weightlifting, and Mark, why don't you kind of talk to him and tell him what it's kind of like or whatever. And you were just like a year, wasn't it just a year into your injury or something like that?
It was. And what's so funny about that, Mark, is when you talk about that, I remember going to your workouts and I'm going, oh my God, this guy don't screw around. I was so sore. Because, I did bench, did some other things, but your training was a whole new ball game. So to keep up with that was just crazy and incredible all at the same time. So I remember rolling in there at Courage Center and looking around and seeing, you and, Bubba and a couple of our friends that I've made with you and through you and your wife, Margaret. And it was just awesome. We had so much fun. It was just crazy.
Yeah, because you started, and then you started training, and I think our first What was your first meet?
Do I have to say?
Yeah, you have to say.
It wasn't good. I can tell you, because before we competed, all I heard was, "Oh, you know what? You're not broken in, or you're a greenhorn or whatever you are," until you bomb your first weightlifting meet. And I did that at Nationals in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but that's what I remember. Pennsylvania was your first national.
Right.
You had to qualify in regionals, but you got through regionals pretty easily.
Yeah, it was.
But so the regional, there was no excitement for you. It's when you got to nationals when you kind of figured out, it's time to compete with the big boys, and you blew all 3 of your lifts. I remember that.
I do too. Unfortunately, that was a tough pill to swallow.
See, and I know probably missing all 3 of your lifts should have been the most memorable thing for me to remember. But, I was talking with my wife, Margaret, yesterday, and we were, talking about that trip. And the first thing she remembered is that, because this was your first national, being disabled and all that. It was warm and hot out, sweaty. And when you push your chair, now when I push my chair, I grab onto the rims. But being the big animal you are, and I think you just like to be a tough guy, you grab the whole wheel and push.
I do. I still do that to this day.
Yeah. And by pushing the whole wheel, that means the dirt on the wheel goes on your hands. And that whole trip, I remember you always being so sweaty, and then you'd swipe your brow and you'd have dirt on your hands, and then it was on your forehead.
Well, what it was is I had quad ribs on my chair.
Did you? Okay.
And so I cut them off. And it gave a fine, greasy, oily type thing. So when we're in...
you cut that plastic stuff off your rim?
Yeah, and so it kept the rim kept on bleeding like some black...
Oh, that's right, because that's when those quickies were coming out with the new coating on the rims.
Yes.
And it got all over your hands.
And all over my face.
Yeah, and all over your forehead. Which
it's so embarrassing. I'd wipe my face and it'd be like it was put on,
Yeah, but look on the bright. I mean, I know it was embarrassing for you, but me and Margaret enjoyed it.
I'm glad I could help you out. I'm glad I could make your trip more enjoyable. And it was what was so neat about the national trip there was to see, when you're in a hospital and you're wondering, where's my life going to take me, and to be put into that world with everybody who was a lot worse off than you, a lot better off than you. You really find that, it was like a real huge community. It was like going into a family that would just welcome you. And sometimes it's not all that easy,
Yeah, because at the nationals, it is kind of an eye opener, somewhat, because now all of a sudden you're with a lot of competitors and they're all disabled, so it's just wheelchairs all around you. And that I know my sisters had come and watched me compete at one of the nationals, and I think it was in Illinois, and they had mentioned, because each night after the nationals we would go out and enjoy ourselves. There'd be a big beer tent or gathering.
Oh, yeah.
And my sisters, they said that first night when they were out there, it was so strange because they were the minority of the ones being able to stand up. Everyone else is in their wheelchairs.
My dad went on that trip. He met us out there a little bit. I enjoyed it. And it was the best thing for him to see as well, because he's seen that, my dad used to play football for the U of M. So he's always been into, sports or coaching. And his eyes were just opened up. He just couldn't believe the raw talent that people have with disabilities. Not like they're, because when I first heard about the weightlifting program at Career Center, I thought, oh, great. This guy's going to lift probably 25 pounds,
Right, yeah.
Then when I ran into you, it's just like, no, we mean business.
Yeah, because when you came down in the weight room, I was benching around upper 200s.
Yeah, you were 300. You're like 305 or something like that. Around.
Yeah.
And
So it wasn't 25 pounds.
Body weight though, Mark.
What's that?
People don't realize it, but that was 3 times your body weight.
Just about 3 times my body weight.
The average American male can't bench press his own body weight.
And I do remember your dad there, and
yeah, he loved
after he saw you competing, and like you said, it really opened his eyes, seeing all the competition out there, because we're serious about it. It's not like we're out there trying to have a friendly game of checkers,
right?
Or something like that. We're out there meaning business, and that. And I know he, after your lifting and that, I remember seeing him afterwards, and he thanked me, because he goes, I just didn't realize there was going to be all these, opportunities. And I said, you don't have to thank me. Rob was the one that screwed up on all of his 3 lifts, but
so bad. And
I told your dad, I'll guarantee you one thing. He won't be screwing up anymore. I mean, I don't think he's going to have another than me where he screws up all 3 lifts.
Nope, I never did after that. It was the only one I ever did all 3.
Yeah.
Why
did you start so high? Because you get 3 lifts, and your first lift should be something you do in your sleep. I don't even know why I didn't.
It was like 295.
Yeah.
And but what was, so I was so used to bringing it off the rack down to my chest and press.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
And the difference between at the time was that you would do a dead press, like a deadlift from your chest, pushing forward.
Push up and then bring down.
I still lift like that. I turn my whole lifting towards that, because I feel it's harder actually to stop. I mean, we did 500 pounds like that, Mark. I mean, dead stop, pushing out that weight, getting that generated to be a lockout.
Yeah.
I mean, that was unbelievable. It was, and that's what I feel with the other kind of benching, normal benching. You get a chance to feel the weight, bring it down to your chest, and then, blast it up. So
yeah,
it's just kind of a big difference. But yeah, it was totally foreign to me, because I trained with you once or twice a week, and I go to the club and train. So I was overtraining then, and I haven't stopped to this day. So
now speaking of foreign, I think we should some other good escapades as far as trips are concerned. I think we definitely got to talk about. I think you know where we're going to go.
I think I do.
Trip you and I did to France.
Voulez-vous coucher? Yes, I remember quite well. We were in a nursing home that we stayed at. It
was strange, Charlie. What was so interesting, Charlie, was that I think it was only the U.S. team, because they had a lot of countries there, and they housed us in a nursing home. Yeah. So we were in this nursing home, and we had
uphill from the bar, mind you. Uphill, because remember the bar was like way.
Oh yeah, right, exactly.
It was fun going, not coming back up to our place.
And you and I roomed together.
We did room together, and we had a few things happen there that just kind of shook the whole place. So
right, I think fortunately I wasn't there when this happened, or maybe if I would have been there, it wouldn't have happened. But I was gone. And I came back, and you had told me about your incident that you had with the house cleaning maid.
Yes, yes.
So would you like to tell that, or should I? I would like you to say that.
Well, you started.
I mean, you've got firsthand knowledge.
I do, but I like the second hand. So if it's wrong, I can tell you it's right, or if it's right, then I can kind of skip it so it sounds even better.
But before we go forward, do we need a parental guidance announcement at the story?
No, she just.
No, not really. It's
she's just a strong girl.
Then please proceed.
Yeah, when was that when I was transferring and I went south and hit the ground? Was that it, Mark? Or
yeah, you were. I don't know. You ended up you were just out of the shower, and you were in your chair.
Yes.
And you reached back for something you had told me, because you explained this all to me later when I came back, and you said, "Mark, you won't believe what happened now."
Yeah.
And then you explained, said, Mark, I just got out of the shower. I came into my room here. I had nothing on. I hear the knock on the door. The maid wanted to come in, and she didn't speak any English.
Yeah. And I can't speak stop in French. So,
Right, you could speak French.
yeah.
And before she came in, you reached back to grab a towel.
And
when you
I
reached,
went. Yeah.
when you reached back, well, you tipped backwards too then, right?
I did. I was checking the floor as that goes. Yes. I was reaching back quick, and all of a sudden, next, I'm on the floor and the door's wide open. So, how you doing?
Yeah, that's a definite way to introduce yourself to.
More ways than one.
French
Just
culture.
it's like going, oh my gosh, this girl's gonna be running. What the heck was that? And wasn't pretty for anybody to see.
Now I assume she just came in, looked, and went back out again. Then, or did she?
No, she stopped and asked if I, she could speak a little broken English, but it wasn't much. And I heard help. And I go, no, I'm good. I'm trying to cover myself at the same time. And no, I'm fine. No, I can do it. Being stubborn, of course. And
she didn't stop to admire the view.
I think she ran, Charlie. I think she ran the other way, got the hell out of there. So, yeah, which I don't blame her. So that was just, that was a great trip. It was a lot of fun out there. And I remember you, Mark, though. I remember it goes to me, kind of, him and Margaret, his wife, you guys weren't married then, were you, Mark? Were you? Or weren't you?
Yeah, we were married. Yeah, yep.
That time, so also Mark says to me, hey, Rob, do you mind if Margaret spends the night over here? Remember that? I go, well, as long as I don't hear nothing, I don't care. So I just slept quietly in my little corner. So, animal, Mark.
But I'm sure my lifting was already done. I was already in the party mode because.
Yes, you were. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about being a lightweight. Your first day of lifting, and then you're done for the rest of it. And what was, the other thing about that trip was, it happened right. Was that the one with the fireworks?
I was going to mention that because my wife was also on that same trip, and she recalled the fireworks during one of the, I believe it was the opening ceremony, and the embers actually not helping people wearing nylon track suits.
What were they thinking, man? I mean,
right. They had. We were in this field because it was during the opening ceremonies. It was right around, I think it was the 4th of July. So they had the fireworks for us here, to celebrate, the United States and the 4th of July. And I remember being on the field and, we're all grouped as our country. So, all of the U.S. were all together. And they had these fireworks going off right from the field. And they didn't go up that high.
No.
And I was like, I hope they've thought this out because they didn't go up that high. And then the flames or whatever.
Well, the running blind athletes was my first clue that the fireworks were going up. So they're going all over the place. They're trying to get, remember they had the blind athletes there as well?
Right. And it was like a Monty Python skit because it was. You had the wheelchair athletes, those para-athletes.
Right.
You had the blind athletes with their seeing eye dogs, and then you had the amputee athletes and the cerebral palsy.
Yeah, we had it was
a zoo.
It was terrible. And then, not to mention that they were going up so high, but we have a mutual friend, Fitzgerald Barrett, from Florida. The next thing, he's on fire. He's on fire.
Because I look back, because the stuff started falling down on us, so we're all scrambling. I look back to see what Margo was doing, and she's throwing Fitzgerald out of his chair onto the ground. And Fitz is a big guy and strong, and I'm like, well, Margaret, I hope you can defend yourself because I'm not coming back to save you.
Oh my gosh! Remember Fitzgerald going, hey man, I'm on fire, man. I'm on
Yeah,
fire, man.
something had dropped right in his lap. So Margaret threw him to the ground to get him to roll, and he was fine. But I remember one of the dogs, I guess, had got burnt a little bit, and
it was no laughing matter as it happened. I mean, at first of all, what the hell, can't these French, blow this, get these fireworks higher than this? And then next thing you know, it was just like, then it got serious real quick, and just the blind athletes were running, and we're like going, oh my gosh, incoming! We're trying to get out of the way, and yeah, that was. And I remember Margaret. And I never messed with Margaret after that because I figured that if she can take Fitzgerald out of his chair, it'd be real easy for her to take me out of my chair. So I figured I'd be real good to her from there on out. So, wonderful lady, beautiful lady.
Brought a new meaning to stop, drop, and roll, right? Right there.
Oh, yeah, stop, drop, and roll, and it was just crazy. Yeah, we have had great times like that in our runs, and then there was also we down to Florida. We did so much competing down in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, we did. We went down to Cheryl. Cheryl was with us down in Tampa Bay, going for qualifiers down there, and
it was so much fun. That was a qualifier to go to France, wasn't it, Mark?
I think that year, right? I think that was the qualifier. We had to go to Tampa to qualify to go to France, and that. Margaret, I can't remember what she had said. She thought there were some things that had happened down in Tampa. I know one morning we woke up and you and Bubba were still up and you hadn't
been to sleep yet?
Yeah, you hadn't been to sleep yet.
Come up at like 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning. It's just like, oh boy, short night's sleep, turnaround time. That's what we could do, that kind of stuff. But now it's just like, do it nowadays, it's just like, ugh. It just knocks you out.
You don't do that now without 14 hours of sleep in between.
Yeah, there's no such thing. It was just like, drinking beer, talking about stuff. That's how we did after we got done competing and stuff like that. It was maybe a little bit before every once in a while. It all depends how much time we had before. Because they had the weightlifters at the very end of the trips because they knew that the weightlifters were the hellraisers and wanted to keep us under wraps as long as they could. That's why they always push. We could fly out to these competitions and wait 2 weeks. Well, what was it? 14 days. We're out there 2 weeks.
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
We'd be like the last 3 days of the things. We had to be good the whole time, but kind of good. I was kind of good.
Now, I'm sure. A lot of your escapades definitely happened in weightlifting because that's what you did a lot of. But I do remember there was a short time that you actually tried, which is kind of fascinating, I must say, thinking back about it. You actually tried wheelchair basketball and softball. How did that go?
Well, Michael Jordan, I'm not. That's for sure. I'm not even the water boy on even. I should have been a good water boy on back. All I know is that these dudes would come up and play with us that were, from Chicago, and these dudes are like 250 flying India going. Well, it seemed like they're going like Mach 1 when they run into you and falling out of your chair. That happened, but I'll never forget. I get the ball, and all of a sudden everybody's going the different way, then I'm going the different way, and I'm going the opposite way, and I'm all turned around. I go, I think I'm going to give up this wonderful sport. Like, well, I can't keep up with everybody.
Yeah, because you did one basketball season?
I actually did 2.
You did do 2. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I came back for the second year, and then that's when the Rolling Timberwolves came in, maybe right around that time.
Yeah.
And so the guys were the Rolling Gophers that were just okay, and the guys that were
right. Oh, gotcha.
Are wonderful were the Rolling Timberwolves.
Now, softball. What position did you play in softball? Were you the catcher or?
Oh yes, I was a catcher.
Okay.
Also, way out in, was it left field? No,
right field.
Right field.
Right field, and I could throw about from me to about 5 feet in front of me, and I'll never forget. We were sitting there, and this single amp is in it. First of all, I didn't know that these dudes could walk. So first of all, I was number one. I said, wait a second here. I thought everybody was in a chair, paralyzed like me, but these guys are cracking these things out of the park like Babe Ruth. And
yeah,
I cracks one, and it's heading straight for me. So the ball's coming down. I'm going for the big catch because it's like a meteor coming out of the sky, if you ask me, because it's, it's a kitten ball that we played with.
Yeah.
That thing hit, and the next thing you know, blood clot, and back to the hospital for a week because I missed the ball, hit my knee, got a blood clot from it, and there I was in the hospital for a week after that. So
did you really? Did you fall out of your chair then, you mean?
No, I didn't know the ball hit my leg.
Oh, the ball hit. Just the ball hitting your leg.
Yeah,
caused a blood clot.
Isn't that nuts? Yeah.
Right leg and then one on my left.
Yeah, it was just weird. Well, the guy cracked that thing. It was going I thought like Mars was coming down on top of us with the size of that ball coming at me. So I went to go grab it and hit my knee, and that was it. So
one season of softball, then I take it, or
I did 88 and I did 89.
You did? Oh, you did 2 seasons of that.
Yeah, because what was so awesome about it's real tough walk into being in a wheelchair and trying to re-get your life back together again. The new
right.
And but you go out there and you see these guys that they're not screwing around, man. This is their passion. This is what they love to do.
Oh, right, exactly. Yep.
And to see that just see how these athletes were. I mean, I was so blown away by it, Mark, and it would never have been possible if it wasn't for you and Margaret, because I mean, you guys showed me the ropes. I just never was good on the ropes except for maybe weightlifting.
Well, I'd like to say I'm glad we were able to help you, but it was more entertaining just watching you actually. So
yeah, a new gimp hits the field when I was there. So.
Right, you were like this little brother just seeing what we could get him into.
Yeah, what kind of trouble you get me in? Oh, and believe you managed to get me into plenty of trouble.
Right.
But all fun.
And you absorbed it all, so you wanted to try it all, so which was great. Hey, yeah, well, I'm sure we can get Rob to do this.
Well, the thing I haven't done is that parasailing that you're into now, and I want to get into that, but we've had just a bad run with just breaking the rods in my back. Then they got infected, and I broke like six different sets of rods that they put in my back at the Mayo, and so finally they got me so fused that I could barely move. So it's
right.
But what's good about that though is that it's forced me to take weightlifting, and because I look at a lot of paras now and I see they're always fused like that. And to be that way, you got to come up with your own style. Because if you go to any type of health club or any type of gym, it's usually not accessible whatsoever. So come up with the different training tools that I use when I go to the club. But the clubs around here, they don't have the no towel rule. So everybody wants to talk to you about your weightlifting when you're done working out and talking about, oh, you did such a great job and all that kind of thing. And well, could you put a towel on, please? You're not interested.
Yeah.
I'm at that level. How about putting a towel on, bro? That's all I ask.
So now, outside of the sports activities, what are some? Can you think of any interesting time situations you were in that because of your disability, just some kind of escapade you might have gone through?
Well, that Florida story, I don't know if you remember this, but do you remember they went into somebody's room and grabbed their wine, where they got the alcohol fridge full of everything.
Where?
It was in Florida. It was in Florida.
Oh, in Florida, okay.
Yeah, somebody went in somebody's room, drank all their booze, and I think I was part of one of the crews that were doing it back then. And refrigerator was in the pool the next morning. They had rules and regulations the next day because it was nuts. It was absolutely crazy. And you just think, oh my gosh, these guys are nuts. Absolutely crazy. When we were in Spain in the Olympics in England. Were you in England with me, Mark? Did you go to England?
I don't think I went to England, but it was in 84.
Okay.
So now, I wasn't there with you. When were you in England?
I was in England, I think either 88, end of 88 or first part of 89.
Probably 89, because 88 was Seoul, Korea.
Yeah, you're right. Yep, you're right. It was. You're exactly.
So 89, I wasn't with you in 89 then.
What these guys would do is that they get on these shopping, like you see the carts that you see at like Target or at Cub, They keep the food
Shopping
on the
carts.
shopping carts. And the guys would get on. I didn't do this, but the guys would get on and go downhill and see what happens. I go, are you kidding? I mean,
Really?
Yeah. Chuck.
Rotobomb and some of those.
Rotobomb,
The crutches dudes.
Yeah, Mitch Strickland.
Mitch. But how would Mitch would get out of his wheelchair into a shopping cart?
Sat in it. He sat
in it.
Well, and this is after having a few spirits, I imagine.
Oh, right.
Get that liquid courage, and they go down this hill, and you hear them laughing, and all of a sudden, bang. Be quiet for a while, and all of a sudden, oh, ouch, and then more laughing, and they do it again. It's like, oh my gosh. I'm thinking to myself, these guys are wild. I love it.
Yeah, the weightlifting. I didn't have the mentality of a weightlifter.
Right.
And it was, it is definitely a different breed. A different breed there and that.
It is.
One thing this was, I think it was like 86. This was interesting because I was on a weightlifting trip, and we were in Switzerland. And what was strange is whenever we went out as a group, the team. So, the team had some of us in wheelchairs, some on crutches, canes, whatever. And when we were out in the public going through stores, senior citizens, they would always come up to me and hand me coins. Right. And we couldn't understand why they picked me out all the time. And then I kind of realized, I think because of all of them, I looked like the basket case. Because with my disability, I look like an amputee.
Oh, yes.
And all the other competitors, were, they had legs, either crutches, canes, or wheelchairs. So I think I was being singled out because I look like the basket case. Oh. And towards the end of the trip, my buddies would go, because we'd have to take a bus in town and then take a bus back out to where we were staying. Oh. So after a while, my buddies would go, "Hey, Mark, we're gonna have to head back to the complex where we're staying. Why don't you go down and round up some money for us to go back?"
Oh, but that's how they are. That's exactly how
right. And in Switzerland, what they did this one time, this old lady came up to me. She didn't have any coins. She put a candy bar in my hand, and it's called Cobblestone. So over there, I guess that's like their Hershey's.
Oh,
over here, their top line chocolate. And even the very last night, because on these trips you always had the last night when you were staying, and we went out for a dinner and that, and some ladies saw us out eating and wanted to pay for the meal, but they wanted to talk to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, just get me back to the U.S.
You're the most level-headed guy on the whole team, Mark. That was probably a blessing that they came to you. So
that might have been, yeah.
That's for sure. Oh, yeah.
Now where else have you compete? How many Paralympic? What countries did you compete in? What were the games?
I did France. I did World Championships in France. I took second there. England I think I took third or second there as well. And then France, I know I took second. It's always second or fourth. That was my numbers.
Right, yeah.
And then we went to France, England, Spain, and all over the continental United States for training. And we went California, Colorado, Oklahoma. Yeah. We've been everywhere. New York, we've been everywhere. And it's been
right, yeah. Through the U.S., going to the different regional meets and then going internationally. Because, for me, it was France, England, Seoul, Korea, and and Switzerland.
Yeah, you did.
Switzerland.
Well, it was so fun to watch is that, you were my coach, so I always felt good when you were with me,
Yeah.
Open, two guys that just motivated you and got you moving. It was you guys. So thank you.
Yeah, no, it was fun going on the trips
It was.
with you and that. So,
But one thing we didn't learn about though is that you don't drink a bunch before you go out on a plane. The next morning, it ain't good for anybody around because you're worried about, oh no, hopefully Mother Nature don't call and you got like a 4-hour, it's a 4-hour flight, but it feels like it's 14 hours when you're sitting there doing a road, like you don't have an accident going on left flight. Oh God, please don't let me fall bad. Oh yeah, it was never learned till after I got to competing. Gosh, it takes a long time for me to learn. Finally, I learned. So.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a while to learn those lessons. I will say that.
But you look at, but the people that we've met, I mean, me and you together, with Kim Brownfield and, Mitch Strickland, was the names that we had. They don't have names like the USA team to me, as far as I'm concerned, is a poor comparison to where we had it in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, right, yeah.
It seemed like after we were done, that our weightlifting in USA has really dropped off.
Yeah.
With the teams, and that's so sad because it was such an important tool for me coming from the walking world into the disabled world to see the difference and to respect, obviously, the athleticism that people have in wheelchair sports. I mean, to watch a guy, swim with, 2 stubs and 3 stubs and one good arm and do laps on the pool faster than anybody I know able-bodied could swim.
Right.
Impressive to me. It was just like, man, that talk about.
Especially with our light heavyweight, Kim Brownfield. I mean,
Oh my God.
In weightlifting, you get 3 lifts. Your first lift is something that you should be able to do in your sleep. So it's fairly light, more or less, to kind of get the cobwebs out. And it was just always amazing watching him lift, because his opening lift was always about 550 pounds.
Yeah, it was always and
the bar would bend.
Yeah, right, with kilo plates on it.
Yeah, and it would just pop right up. He would pop that thing up, the bar bending. He would pop it up, put it back down, and then he's like, okay, time to get to the real stuff now. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
But you got to remember this too, that chairs would be flying, crutches would be flying when he walked up from the bench.
Right. He had the mindset of a weightlifter, because your name gets called, you have 2 minutes to get on the bench and get your lift. And his name would get called, and he'd jump out of the folding chair he was sitting in because he used crutches, and he would throw his crutch down and start going screaming towards the bench and getting all pumped up. And there was a couple of times I had to put, some bandages on his wrist to support him while he was lifting. And then once I got the bandage on his wrist, I had to pound him on his chest to get him excited. And I remember one meet, I did it after his first lift, and he came back and he told our coach, Bill.
Good old Bill, God rest his soul.
Yeah, he told Big Bill, he says, Mark's not hitting me hard enough. So Bill comes to me, Mark, you got to really lay it. Kim wants you to just pound him really hard. I'm like, yeah, but is he going to pound me back? I said, I'm just afraid to hit him too hard. Yeah, he was a big boy, and he really got into he really got into all the.
Well, he'd get you so pumped up to be part of because we'd have people there, but it'd be a lot of volunteers and a few family members there and all. But,
right.
But he would come in, and it's just like the place would fill up. He was like his own attraction. Guy bench, what is he, 650? He was almost close to 700 pounds. This guy bench. He was just
right. Yeah.
And he's one of my best personal friends. One of my best friends. He came up in 2015, and we had a lot of fun with him. It was really good. Hopefully, we get to see him again soon. It's just but you see a guy like that kind of attitude about their passion about the sport, and
he was very passionate because he competed in a lot of able-bodied competition.
Yeah,
too, and he grew up on a ranch, I believe, helping his dad bale hay. So he basically threw the hay bales onto the wagon. I could see him doing that by himself too. He was just all upper body. His disability was polio in the legs.
Yeah, he was induced, wasn't he? When he was like 4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, he was just all upper body, just a big boy.
He was just like a big V. And I was glad it was his friend because I didn't want to be on the other side of him, if you know what I mean. That was
right.
That was
yeah.
you know? Like when they all came up to Minnesota, the Nationals, remember that?
Right, yeah.
And that was just crazy fun. And all them guys came in, and I remember it was freezing cold out. And we still had an absolute blast wherever we went, out for dinner or out to show or two or whatever it was. We'd have so much fun. So
I know I'd let you guys do what you. I remember telling you, just keep your guys' ass out of jail.
Mark's number, I got his number right here. That was like right around when cell phones were just coming out.
Right, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I had that big old block phone. It's like, But yeah, just those stories. It's kind of neat because I have a gym in my garage and I got pictures of all of our years of training. And it's good to just kind of sit back, and it's actually such a blessing to be able to have been part of such a great team like we had then.
Right, yeah.
And it was, and just like Bob Simons, all those guys that were such, good people that really helped out a bunch. And so if you're newly injured, you should get into sports and find a sport that you like. Or if you're in a sport and get hurt, then you should get back to the sport that you like, because they're pretty comparable. Wheelchair sports and able-bodied sports are pretty right on with sports.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it's a good way for someone who's newly injured, because they have, they don't know what they're going to be doing next and what have you. And it's a good opportunity to get to get back into the world again. And that, I don't want to say the real world, but just getting back out there. I know that's what it was for you. For me, I just grew up being disabled, so I didn't know. Like me and Charlie, we didn't know anything different. This was what we had, right, Charlie?
That's it. We were puck chasers in high school, and Mark went on to the basketball and weightlifting, and I went on to eating. So,
yeah. Well, I think that's all of us, Charlie, right now. Because
and the interesting thing with me and Charlie is, we both grew up in South Minneapolis, and I think we probably have 5 miles in between us, if that,
give or take,
Charlie.
Yeah, give or take.
There's only, and then what was funny was, we both have the disability where, you don't see the legs and that. I would always hear from people thinking I was over in his part of the neighborhood because they thought I was over there. And I'm like, no, that's another guy. That's not me. And with Charlie, he crawled around a lot on his hands. So they go, Mark, are you over there in South Minneapolis crawling around? I said, no, that's the other guy.
That's Charlie.
Yeah, that's Charlie.
I remember watching you, Mark.
Like.
Mark, you remember you jump off the bench and scurry over another, jump up on this other thing. You look like Tarzan to me. I was going, oh my gosh, that guy can get around so good. Oh my, it impressed me. I'm as slow as molasses in January in a chair, downhill, let alone anything else. So you're going boing, 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 boing. I'm going, wow.
Yeah, that's not the case today. Now we need spotters standing by and ambulance on call.
Yeah, really.
Right. Yeah. Now it's funny how time changes, right? It's just like, oh.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure Charlie will agree to me. It's like in our younger days, you never even thought of transferring. You just did it. It was so easy.
Yeah.
Now you got to make sure you got your wheels locked and
sliding board under your butt
right before you transfer. In our younger days, it was like, bull crap, just do it. I don't care where the chair is. I'll get there.
I'll make it. Yeah. You can jump Mount Everest,
Yeah.
Very true.
By an inch, forget it. You're in trouble.
Right. So true. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Well, good. No, I think I'm glad this is the first. I think this first episode of Discapades went really successful. It was fun hearing the different escapades. Rob, you've experienced and stuff like that. I think definitely we'll have to get out to your gym with a camera and then get some of that onto Disability Channel Minnesota, do a tour of see what all you have in your gym there.
Where results gym. Where failure's no option. Yes, that's the name of my gym. So I just got out of there. So actually what's funny is I'm training a couple of young guys right now that go to high school around here. They're both football player and one's like a bodybuilder. But it's fun to sit there and show them a whole different, way of lifting, because they go and they would say they go to the club and they just don't seem to, they're intimidated or they're feeling. So it's kind of nice to get this breaking in phase for if someone would go to a club like over the winter or something like that. It's kind of nice to show kids. And we do also do that powerlifting program that we have out in Mounds View, and it's at the YMCA. We haven't started back up since Corona.
Oh, right. Yep.
We're always looking for new guys coming on that we can do some, track and field stuff with or powerlifting stuff. So that's kind of cool as well. Rolling Thunder is the name of the team. And they're just great people that run that. Yeah. Hopefully we get back to normal so we can get out and do normal things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's for sure on that. So
we'll have to remember what normal is.
Right. Yeah, what is normal now? And that's what's so hard. I mean, you see all this tragedy stuff on TV left and right, and it doesn't matter if you're walking or not. You're assaulted, period. And
right.
A bunch of people in chairs get assaulted. What the hell are people thinking? What are they thinking? I mean, not thinking. It's crazy. So,
well, thanks for joining us, Rob. Charlie, would you like to close it out here then?
Yeah. Again, thanks to Rob Wills. He's Mark Beefcake Knutson. I'm Charlie Butterball Rose, and this has been Discapades. And we'll be back again. We'll see you later, folks.
If you want to be a part of Discapades, we want to have you. So drop us a note at disabilitychannelmn@gmail.com.